I mean, the two that I remember as being particularly awful were best men as well. I mean, they've obviously got a lot of pressure on them.
It's a biggie, isn't it?
Yeah, there was one best man that we were witness to, unfortunately, and he literally went on for 45 minutes, and people were heckling him, and he was still continuing on, and he started just talking about himself at the end, and he didn't have any notes, which was worrying because there didn't seem to be a conclusion coming.
No. Maybe he was looking for the conclusion and couldn't find it.
Yes, maybe.
That's what you need to know where you're going with this, don't you?
And then there was another one where it was a best man double act, and they'd obviously thought about it because there was props and there was outfits and there was a vague theme, but I don't know whether the alcohol had an effect, but it just ended up being really crude. A bit disorganised, and eventually the mother of the bride asked them to stop.
Really? Oh no! And that's the thing, is then what do you remember about that wedding?
Yes.
That's what you remember.
Yes, I know. Brides, I think we all have that tendency to sort of go on Pinterest, look at the Etsy table decorations, worry about the flowers, but we forget what people talk about is the speeches.
Yeah.
And we just sometimes leave them to the blokes without actually getting involved.
Well, can I just flag up at this point? You need to confess, because I would suggest, call me old-fashioned, that you are a bit of a control freak, Heidi. Now, tell me about, you wrote your speech for your wedding.
Yes.
Is it true that you actually also wrote your husband's speech for your wedding?
Okay, busted. Yes, I did. Yes, I did to help him slightly.
You did more than help him. Just how much of that speech did you write, Heidi?
Well, I left sections where he could fill in the blanks. I wish I hadn't left him any blanks, to be honest.
You weren't even happy with the 2 lines you allowed him to do.
Exactly.
Did he not at any point suggest that this wasn't quite your role in the proceedings?
No, he was very grateful. As I find a lot of grooms that call Speechy are, you know, everyone wants to do a good job. Everyone knows that, you know, they've got things to say, they've got compliments to give, but they just don't know how to say them very well. And there's a lot of people out there that just resort to cliches. They end up talking about soulmates and love of my life. And actually what you've got to do is sort of prove as opposed to tell.
We're talking about this then because here's a nice twist. Heidi can actually write your wedding speech for you. She's the founder of the speech writing service Speechy, and it's gathering momentum for sure. But what I'm thinking though, Heidi, is that you're writing speeches for people you don't know. It's one thing if you're writing it about yourself or your partner or your family member, but you're writing about people you may not ever meet. You don't know them, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, sometimes they're on the other side of the world. Like last night I was speaking to a father of the bride who was from California. And so it's also trying to get that tone of voice and just the pace of how he speaks. And, you know, it comes back to sort of my journalistic training and just asking the right questions. And
what are the right questions? And you start off with an email, or somebody does call you?
Yeah, there is a questionnaire people fill in first of all, and then we have an in-depth chat. But I think that question stage is something that people, if they're writing their own speech themselves, they need to do themselves as well. You just need to have a real brainstorm about the people that you're talking about. And
the people you're talking to as well, because it might be, it's one thing if you're having this chat, you know, at the bar or in a pub or something, but
absolutely, be conscious of your audience.
Exactly.
You know, you need, as you say, you need to think about our children there, and as you say, be conscious of not telling these in-jokes. It's got to be inclusive. So that's part of this first stage of my writing, is just finding out as much as I can about the people and asking the questions. You know, a lot of the questions don't elicit great content, but it can be... It's the questions such as, what are their bad habits? What do you argue about? That sometimes gives me the best content to work with, because you want to make the speeches unique. You don't want them cliched.
Yes. This could only be about this person. That's what you want,
exactly.
Isn't it? This is, you've really captured that person.
The essence of that person. So you don't want to pretend that all brides are princesses and wonderful and just beautiful. You want to get the sense that they're a bit gobby and they're obsessed with fake tan, whatever
or they're clumsy like me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got to get that out of the people first of all.
And are they shocked, though, at those are the questions that are coming? Presumably then they're not anticipating that at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we give time to people to fill in the questionnaire, because rather than just speaking to them on the phone, first of all, we started off doing that, and we'd ask grooms, what do you love about your fiancé? And to be honest, they were stumped. They'd be saying things like, she's funny, she's nice, she's generous. And I was like, all right, we're going to have to work a bit harder with this. Yeah. So having a questionnaire, it gets people thinking a bit more. And once you know the questions, coming back to it a few days later, things start popping in your head once you start thinking about your speech.
So you start writing, and then what is a good length for a speech that is going to be interesting, it's going to have enough content, but it's also snappy?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want your speech to come in under 10 minutes.
Under 10 minutes, people. Yes, I know. You need to start again. If you're on page 7, you need to start again.
I mean, with any speech, I'd say write your first draft and then give yourself...
Throw it away.
Yes, that's one strategy, yes.
In the bin.
I do that myself, yeah. And then give yourself the challenge of trying to edit it to half the length it was.
Oh, really?
And then guaranteed it will be a lot better as a result. Jokes, work much better if they're punchier. Stories,
keep it snappy.
Keep it snappy, absolutely. Okay. So give yourself that challenge. You might not hit that, but with groom speeches, you're not wanting more than 1,300 words. Fathers of the bride,
people are 900. Writing this down. Hold on, they're writing this down. Wait a minute. Well, we need this. This is important stuff. So under 10 minutes, then try and edit it to half, and then presumably you can stretch a bit.
But you definitely...
And if it's the groom, it's how many words?
You don't want more than 1,300. Father of the bride, probably 900. But these are just guidelines. Obviously people have a bit more to work with, and as well, there's no harm with being shorter.
No,
there's absolutely no harm.
Short can be good.
Yeah, my mum gave a speech at my wedding, and it was literally.
Did you write that?
I didn't. I restrained myself from that one.
And how good was it? A quick?
It was literally a couple of minutes, but it did the job. It made people laugh, and it added a sentimental moment. So that was perfect.
Well done, Mum. We've all had ups and downs in life, but you also presumably have to touch on things in speeches whilst keeping the mood up. You have to touch on things that have been difficult in the past.
I mean, just within this month, we've done an uncle of the bride who was obviously standing in for his brother, getting that tone right, where you remember her father in a positive way.
You want him to be included. He's presumably had died, so you want him
exactly. So the way to do that is obviously to imagine how he would have been reacting within the wedding day. Would he have been diving into the sticky toffee pudding? Would he have been trying to show off his dance moves already?
Yes.
Whatever it is, everyone needs to remember him with a smile. So it's getting that right. And the other speech we've been working on this week is one father of the bride who was giving a speech about a daughter who for about 15 years of her life had suffered severe anorexia. So a lot of her childhood memories involved that. So again, the principle of not ignoring the truth, not brushing it aside, but also acknowledging the reality of her life whilst keeping it joyful and making sure, again, she's not brought back to anything sad, but she understands that her father has appreciated the struggle she's gone through.
Yes.
And what a happy time they are.
And here we
today.
are in this amazing... Yes,
exactly.
It's acknowledgement, but and not putting it under the carpet, but not ending. And presumably you want some of the key parts of a speech at the beginning and the end. So you want to know the end.
Yes.
Don't be that man still talking to himself for 45 minutes in.
Yes.
And also have get him hooked day 1, minute 1, and hooked at the end.
Well,
nice,
it's the principles of old-fashioned storytelling, isn't it? It's like hooking people in from the beginning, and that's a common mistake people make, is starting with the thank yous. It's important, the thank yous. Everyone wants to be appreciated, but to be honest, the thank yous are really boring for everyone who doesn't get a mention. So start with the story. Start with the hook, and keep people entertained till the end through that.
Right. Hopefully that's given you loads of advice, help, tips, and you're writing it down as we speak.